Good morning, everybody. This is Diggs. It's another beautiful day out here in the Pacific Northwest, and today we're going to be looking at Lucia EX. We're also going to dabble in Lilyth EX and Sosha EX. Let's go ahead and dig in. Now, a lot of hype and excitement for Lucia EX. Unfortunately, from everything that I've heard, she doesn't kind of hold a penny to Frederica EX. She's going to be a little bit more lackluster than her gunner companion. That doesn't mean she's not still going to be important or viable. So let's take a look at some of her skills that get upgraded here. She does get an upgrade to tune up, and it's the type of upgrade that I actually don't like. So tune up normally has 12% agility, defense penetration 40. She gets acquired AP 30 and an additional range 1 for self. I love being able to have access to range up, but forcing me to take range up can sometimes be problematic depending on the map. It could trigger Lucia to maybe not use a AP generation buff. She may move forward and just attack the opponent, and then she'll kind of be out there a sitting duck. On the other hand, sometimes range +1 is really handy depending on the map that you're on. But when you're putting it on a passive like tune up, which you're going to be setting no matter what, it kind of locks her in a little bit in terms of her capability and her power, and this becomes a problem with one of her other passive or other abilities that she gets an upgrade to. Shooting posture, you guys should all be familiar with, is the missile attack 40 for 3 turns, defense penetration 20 for 3 turns to self. It also buffs allies for the missile attack 40. Pretty good, but it gets an upgrade here which gives it just range +1. It doesn't increase the missile attack for allies, doesn't increase the defense penetration at all. It just gets an additional range +1. So we are in another situation here where Lucia is basically just getting range plus, which again, can be good depending on the circumstances, but this was already a really good gunner ability and buff. Now with this range plus, it's okay, I might use it, but it's again that kind of double-edged sword where I'm like, okay, I don't know if this is going to help me in the long run. Is this going to make a difference between me using this ability and using bells, for example? Probably not. There's kind of lots of questions here on this type of buff. If it was range 1 for 3 turns to allies as well, that might be a little bit more viable, but right now not the most exciting thing here. She does get, for her job level 25 ability, she does get Sadistic Blast, which is a 165x modifier attack, and it has piercing, which is interesting because it can be diagonal piercing, and it has a 25% chance to inflict a 50% reduced speed on your opponent. Now, a lot of times I would say this is really interesting. It's really good. It's kind of unique for Lucia, but I don't think this is going to be kind of game changing for her. And unfortunately, she is listed as one of the bonus units for the Alophicalus raid, no doubt, to go up against Lich, but I'm still probably, because he's not going to be weak to slow, I'm still probably just going to be using her for quadruple shot spam, right? So I don't know if this would change whenever I use Lucia at all. Right now I use Lucia very sparingly, especially since we have so many other wind units that are so good. And I don't know that this kind of gives a specific identity or situation to use her in. But maybe she'll be good enough. I'll probably be EXing her just because I'm probably going to take her in for my large bonus unit on raid. But I'm a little disappointed that I don't think her EX is going to make that big of a difference. And again, I am concerned about that range up that she does have kind of all over in her EX kit. Now, Lilith is probably the unit that I'm most excited for in this round of EX units, and there's a couple reasons for that. Lilith has always been a very powerful unit. She has access to reflex. She has, sub archer for or sub ranger for sharpshoot. Like, she's just all around an incredible unit. Yes, she is primarily a fire slash unit, but I've always really loved her ranger sub. Having access to soldier passives as well for the attack up, right? Very powerful. And it's interesting that her buffs kind of affect her primary job, which is what we would expect, but they go down the AP break route. And I actually think this just makes her a more viable and versatile unit. And it's pretty good, I would say. I actually think her buffs may be better I actually think her buffs may be better than Lucia in terms of actually like objectively using these buffs and using these attacks in game. Of course, you would have to actually level Lilith EX, which many people will not do. But if you're, say, running Fire Select Quest, if you are, you know, kind of approaching older content or doing Tower, she's going to be very powerful. So what does she got going on for her? She gets a buff to Divine Heal, basically, which increases max HP and restored HP the same amount, so it's still 20% for 3 turns to self, but it grants auto AP restore, and it grants 15% for 3 turns to self. To give you perspective, that is stronger than Lucio's TMR. That is stronger than almost every single TMR except for Belle's. That's remarkable. That is a lot of AP per turn. And that is exactly what Lilith needed, because she is a very, you know, if you've ever used Lilith, she's a very AP hungry unit. So it's actually really nice that she's going to be getting this. In terms of the other ability that got upgraded, AP Break got upgraded, and again, we are seeing AP Break be utilized nowadays in select quests. So it got range +1, not the biggest upgrade, but it could make a difference. Unfortunately, Lilith doesn't move very much, so not, you know, the biggest deal. However, AP Burst, her job level 25 ability, is very cool here. 200% modifier, decrease AP 40x for targets, cross-shaped attack, range 1, AoE height 1. This is beautiful. This is a beautiful large AoE attack that decreases AP. This is just going to make Lilith more of a powerhouse. This is going to make her more powerful at kind of being this brawler, close range and far range, you know, sharpshooting monstrosity with Flame Tongue. You know, I can't wait for it. I can't wait for Lilith EX. I actually think Lilith EX is kind of up there with Adelard EX in the terms of like Fire MR units are getting really good EXs, it feels like. You know, we have Naya, who has access to Reflect. Like, they're all very unique in terms of their capacity to do things and kind of do what needs to be done and do it in a good way. Now, unfortunately, Sosha did not get the same treatment, and y'all know that I'm a big fan of Dragoons, and I love Sosha, right? Sosha has access to Sub-Ranger as well, so she is gonna have Reflex, which is incredible. Oh, sorry, she does not have Reflex. Oh, I didn't realize she did not have Reflex. Oof, that sucks, Sosha. I'm like looking at it, I'm like, wait a second, she does not have Reflex. Make sure Lilith has Reflex. Lilith does not have Reflex. Wait, why does she not have Reflex? She should have Reflex here. Am I tripping right now? Is WoTV calc wrong? Okay, oh, there we go. Okay, they both have Reflex. I'm like, what is going on? They should have Reflex. I was definitely looking at the support skills. Welcome to my life, you guys. If you've made it this far in the video, just don't tell anybody about this. She does have access to Reflex, but her buffs are interesting. She gets a buff to Dragon's Kin, which is the attack plus 42% for 3 turns buff, which is really good for Dragoon, but it gives Spirit 20 for 3 turns to self and restores CT 250 for self. Again, really good. It's going to let her take a turn sooner. It's going to give her a Spirit buff, and this is a buff you might be using anyway if you are kind of not utilizing AP regeneration, or if you're doing 2 buffs in a row. This is just one of those good buff abilities that has been made even better. Now, unfortunately, her horizontal jump buff doesn't get a damage or range increase. It doesn't have a casting time decrease. All it does is add silence for 3 turns to the target. And, you know, I think we're kind of past the point where silence is relevant, and I don't think you're going to be running Sosha with pretty high faith at all. So I think this is going to be pretty useless. She's kind of being made, her kit is made to be an anti-mage kit, basically, but she's not good at being an anti-mage, if that makes sense. You know, having access to silence on horizontal jump, that's great, right? Her job level 25 ability is kind of in the same situation, right? The idea is you have to land your jump first. First of all, you have to land the jump, which with Sosha as an MR unit, if you're taking her against any other unit in the field, is gonna be potentially difficult, right? If you're going in PvP. PvE, you don't have much use for silence at all. So you're really not going to see the most use out of this. And then her job level 25, Jammer Dive. Very cool ability. Cancels ability activation, cross-shaped attack, breaks physical barriers for target. Very cool ability. 220% modifier, just like horizontal jump, except it's AoE. The only problem is you have to land it on your opponent. And being able to utilize jamming dive on your opponent while they're casting is almost impossible, I would imagine. You would have to almost preempt this on your opponent to wherever your opponent's moving and casting in order to do this, because you have to assume a couple things, right? You have to assume that your opponent's casting, that Sosha's turn is going to show up in between when your opponent starts casting the spell and when the spell's casted. And then you're assuming that she's going to be able to jump and cancel that ability activation. Now, breaking physical barriers on target, always good, but it's very, like, I just never see this being pulled off. Maybe if it was an instant cast ability and she jumped and canceled out the opponent, this would be something that would be used relatively, you know, effectively, right? If you're wanting to bring her into like cost-based PvP matches or something, maybe you could pull it off. Like this though, I don't see it being pulled off. And I don't see it happening. You'll probably use it for breaking physical barrier and for basically a dragon dive that breaks physical barrier is probably what you're going to be using this for. Anyway, everybody, thank you so much for watching. If you guys do want to support me, you can use my affiliate link, dig.gs/coins. You can also, as always, show up on stream, leave a comment. I love to hear from you guys, and I will talk to you guys next time.